regarding COVID-19. This meeting shall be remotely via technological means in the manner specific below, which is a Zoom link, and in no person attendance by the members of the public is allowed. If you'd like to request a reasonable accommodation, please contact Louise, the ADA compliance coordinator of the City of Malden. Clerk will call the roll. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. Pledge allegiance first. All rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
to me,
Of the United
to
States.
the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with
liberty
liberty and
justice
justice
for all.
for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence in honor of the men and servicemen and women, both here, currently serving, and who served in the past. I don't have a gavel, but thank you very much. Clerk will call the roll.
Cologne Hayes,
Cologne Hayes here.
Condon,
Condon here.
Crow,
Here.
Linehan,
Linehan here.
McDonald,
Here.
Murphy,
Murphy here.
O'Malley,
Here.
Sika,
Sika here.
Simonelli,
Yep.
Winslow,
Winslow here.
Spatafora.
Metaphor here. Before I do turn over the first order of business, I do want to just have a brief statement. I did send this out to my colleagues, but it's worth, I think, repeating. First of all, Happy New Year, everybody. I never thought we would have been 2 years into the COVID and still having at least to meet remotely, but hopefully we are seeing the end of this latest spike. I also would like to thank my colleagues for their vote of confidence in my ability to lead the council for the coming year. I am certainly honored, and I extend both well wishes to both the council and the City of Malden residents. I would not be remiss to also mention Councilor Neil Anderson. I know we've had several, meetings which we dedicated and went over his certainly his passion and his history of the City of Malden. But Neil Anderson, throughout his tenure, he focused on his vision of expanding opportunities for all residents. He worked diligently to serve the residents, both in his innovative ideas and specifically towards the growth of all the citizens in Ward 7. He also inspired many members of this council and past councils to be involved in the council and certainly mentored committee members and other volunteers and encouraging them to become involved and represent the city. Neil was truly a disciple of Malden history and politics, and it's sad to see him go. And he was also a great role model and fostered a cohesive and cooperative environment that made us all work together. So I think it's well worth wishing him good luck in his retirement. And I'm sure we'll see him around. This is a meeting which will hopefully we will do as committee assignments, and anybody who served as president or any council has been here for a while. It is not an easy endeavor because there is picking chairs and vice chairs. Hopefully, I've chatted with several of you. You are happy as much as you can be with your council assignments. I try to honestly put people where their skill sets were actually needed. There's a lot to be done in the City of Malden. There's a lot of great ideas that have come from this council, and certainly during the campaign, a lot of us had great ideas, and I hope to at least work with all of you to see all of them get at least discussed and move forward. So I appreciate that. I'm very excited about the new year and continue improvements, but we also must acknowledge we are still living under the pandemic, rising costs, infrastructure, maintenance, environmental concerns, affordable housing, and eliminating the equality we have. So there are some new committees we will certainly see, and there's some old committees that I don't want to say we got rid of or put on the shelf, but it's certainly, I think it's time to readjust and look at some specific targets that we want to accomplish in the coming years. And the next president, like always, can reevaluate and go forward. But I hope that everybody is happy with their committee assignments. And inaugurations are just not about beginnings. At the end of the day, we'll all be judged by the results that we produce, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Like I said, I've had the opportunity to talk to several of you. And one thing I think has been clear, both from myself and every council that I've had the opportunity to chat with, the residents want to see us work together. And I honestly want to make that commitment. And so from a standpoint of if there's any, debate on the floor about policies, that's great. If there's anything personal needs to be done, I think we should just do that by picking up the phone and talking it out rather than sometimes doing it through social media. So I hope that can be done this year and we can move forward with that. So with that, I would like to turn it over to the next order of business.
Paper 2-22, Yinh Kiefer will speak on Porch Fest activity to the City Council.
Yeah, and when I'm going to make her a speaker, I would like to give the mic to Council Linehan to do a brief introduction.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. So I'm very excited to be having the opportunity to sponsor my constituent, but more importantly, my friend and neighbor here on Bloomark Street, Yinh Kiefer. She's going to tell us a little bit about a really exciting project that she is hoping to plan for this spring for the whole city, and that is Porch Fest. So many of you may have attended or heard of Porch Fest in a neighboring community. They've happened in recent years in Melrose, Somerville, JP, a lot of other places. And basically what it is it's a community-led event where residents volunteer their porches, balconies, front yards to host music, basically. And people walk around, bike around, and get to listen to their neighbors performing. And it's usually held anytime in the spring through the fall. And the goal is just to appreciate the homegrown arts and spread joy and a sense of community. So Yinh, I was trying to think about how long I've known her and what many of you may have met her through. And I realized that it's almost impossible to think of something she doesn't have her hands in the community. She's a musician herself. She's also a podcaster, massage therapist, doula, parent, and she's recently just joined the board of UMA. So she is really a Renaissance woman in the community and seems to have connections all over the place. She's really pulled together a very diverse group of volunteers that are helping her, people from all across the city, every ward, and she's actually gone in for some grant funding from the Cultural Council, which has awarded her, I think, just under $4,000 to get this project started. So she's going to tell us a little bit about what Porch Fest is hopefully going to be like, and think of some ways that all of us can help support that, and then open it up for some questions. So with that, I will turn it over to Yinh. I think she needs to screen share Councilor Spadafora.
Yeah, I believe Yinh, you should have the ability to talk. Can you just test that? I did promote you to panelist. You test that, Yinh?
Hello. Yes,
We
I
can hear
am
you.
now. Hi there. How are you?
How you doing? And we can see you.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
It's good to be seen. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Councilor Linehan for sponsoring me and for her support and encouragement through the process. I also want to thank all of you for your time and attention to this matter. So this is, as Councilor Linehan said, it's very near and dear to my heart as a musician and as a supporter of the arts in Malden, and an absolute privilege working with a really great team. So without any further ado, I'd like to share my screen with you and just give you a little idea of what we are about. So you know that I'm here to talk about Porch Fest. We consider it a citywide celebration of music and community. And so, you know, we think about what Porch Fest does for communities, what it's done for communities all over the United States. It has connected communities with arts and music. If people can't necessarily leave their homes, I know that, you know, with family responsibilities for myself, it's hard for me to get out as much as I used to. So anytime I can connect with music, I welcome that. Also increasing awareness of the city's culture. Malden is home to so many great musicians, artists. Some are doing it professionally and some are just playing for the sheer pleasure of it. So I'd like to bring those people out and possibly meet each other. And that brings me to this next point, stimulating the creative economy. So there's a lot of opportunity for cross-pollination in that arena. And in addition to that, fostering positive relationships between neighbors, getting people out of their homes. I know this winter is pretty cold. We're going to be really happy this spring to come out of hibernation and hopefully out of whatever stage of the pandemic we'll be in at that point in time. And I think it's great when we can learn new things about each other. Maybe there are people with talents that other neighbors didn't necessarily know about. This is a great opportunity to get to have that. And as I was doing research for Porch Fest, I came across this quote from placemakers.com. This was an article from Brian Comer of Porch Fest, Oakhurst, Georgia. What I loved about this year's Porch Fest is the vision of community it created. He wrote, "It was a vision of a peaceable world, a neighborly world, a place free for the time being of recrimination and acrimony." And that just landed with me. I just thought, wow, I would love to see Malden follow suit in having that kind of an environment. And now bring it back to Massachusetts. Here are some of the areas where we've seen Porch Fest happen. And the next slide, hopefully you guys can see in here, some pictures from area Porch Fests in Arlington, Melrose, Somerville. And as you can see, it flows down the streets.
I got a little secret just for you and for me. Don't blame it on the weather or the KGB. You want it, you go get it. Nothing else to report. Just
And yards can be venues. And of course, porches. So right now, I've been working pretty intensively with our planning team. And here are our members. There's myself. I wrote the grant. I'm managing the project this year. Jackie Ecker and Sarah Mcdonald are helping me out with logistics and planning. Ari Taylor is heading up marketing communications. I have Jeff Taylor in technical assistance and research, Robin Inman in research and writing. Bob Logan is our music planning consultant, and Amanda Linehan, who is our municipal consultant and liaison. And I'm hoping that indirectly you could be part of the team, and ways that you can support us include helping us to identify friendly spots in your ward, sponsoring our wish list from office and event supplies to printing and design, helping us acquire street permits, and spreading the word that there's so much to be said about words that come from people in your position who have the advantage of seeing so many different people. It would mean a lot to us if you could participate in at least that. If nothing else, spreading the word would be wonderful. And we do value your input. So to that end, I'm leaving my email address, Yinh Kiefer, YINHKIEFER, Malden Porch Fest, all lowercase letters, all one word, @gmail.com. That's maldenporchfest@gmail.com. Please contact me. I hope to hear from some of you in your interest in supporting us, and just maybe even sharing your ideas with us. It would be truly tremendous to hear from you. And I'm going to stop the share.
Okay, great presentation, Yinh. Thank you so much. Sounds
Thank
great.
you.
Council Linehan, you still have the floor. Do you want to say any other words, or I can entertain some questions? I see a hand up from Council Winslow, but Council Linehan?
I would just thank Yinh. She's done a tremendous amount of work. A lot of the volunteers that you saw on that list are people that didn't know each other just a few months ago. And I would say that, particularly being married to someone in the performing arts, I hear this question a lot is, why can't we do more to sort of highlight and bring the community together around all the artists that we have here, whether they're professional or amateur? And I really just want to credit Yinh with, taking that idea and actually doing the hard work of applying for the grant and pulling a group together. So I meant to highlight that a little bit more before turning it over to her, and just wanted to hit that point one more time, because it is hard. It's easy to talk about the big ideas, but not always easy to actually get the money and pull the people together and get it done. So hats off to her, and I'm all set.
Thank you very much, Councilor Day. Councilor Winslow, you have your hand up.
Yeah, and yes, thank you for taking this on. It can be a big undertaking. So yeah, I think it's something that you dive into. We'll get it going this year and then just go on from there. Very excited. I know down on the bike trail one year we did what was called Becca Fest right by the U-Haul, and I think there's always been talk about doing something more, but it is quite an undertaking. So do you have a sense of timing of May, June? What do you have a sense of when this might be happening?
Well, first of all, I'm so glad to hear from you, Counselor, because we are hoping to collaborate a little bit with Bike to See and see if we can utilize areas along the bike path to share some live music also. So I hope to hear more from you in the future. Also, I am currently working with Kevin Duffy and Evans Petrini. We're currently in talks to see, what might work for dates, because ideally, I'd like this to flow into things that the city has planned already. So I'm thinking Malden Summer Festivals would be a nice dovetail into that. So currently, I don't have a date pinned down just yet, but I'm anticipating late spring, early summer.
Okay, we'll look forward to hearing more about it. I know I'm starting to talk about a Maplewood Fest as well, so we'll see how it all plays together. So good.
Great.
Thank you, Councilor Karen Cologne Hayes.
Hi, Yinh. Thank you for presenting this. I've been super excited since the chatter began months ago, and have attended Somerville and Arlington's Porch Fest, so it's great. I just had a quick question, because there are so many, like you said, so many artists here. Is there going to be a limit in auditions? Like, so should people contact you? Like, will there be auditions?
There will be, there's no, I would not really consider it an audition. It's a community event, so it's really meant to be inclusive.
Right.
We do have monies to help cover groups that would be approved by under the grant, but I also have been talking about getting pop-up porches started that would be just anybody. I mean, really, this is a springboard for communities to start thinking about, hey, I might want to have my porch be part of this. And, that's really a lovely thing. If we can, right now, this is all brand new. I'm open to everything and anything, and we'll deal with everything as it comes.
Great. Thank you so much. I'll help you out in any way.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yinh, thank you so much. That was just a great presentation. It just, I think, made everybody smile, and very excited about the future of this. One of the questions that I did have, well, actually, I want to say one thing about the bike path. When we built the first garden, we actually built a little performance area right there. So that's something I'd love to show you. It doesn't have electricity, but it was specifically built and carved out for that purpose. So maybe someday we could take a walk down there and I could show it to you.
Oh, I would love that.
Absolutely. And the other thing is just speaking about, about the bands, like, can people, contact you about, they have a porch and they'd like to host someone. So will you be having basically a website or a Facebook page where people can find out more information?
Yeah. So once we pin down a date, because I don't want to push something that we don't have a date for yet, because that'll be the next question. So once we have a date figured out, and once we have our branding, our logo down so that we can set these things up, right now Ari is working on our website, and I'll be putting together the social media collateral. So once that's all together, but Also, my email address is out there for you to use. So if you hear of anyone who's interested in volunteering, being a performer or volunteering a porch, please go ahead and send them my way. Share with them my information because I'll take all the help that I can get.
Perfect. Well, thank you. I wish you a lot of luck. This is going to be a fun event.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council Murphy. Next up is Councilor Kerry McDonald. Oh, wait, did you take your hand down, Kerry? No, you didn't.
No, I think it got down somehow.
Oh, yeah, that's no problem.
No,
Councilor
that's great.
McDonald.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Counselor. Yeah, Lynn, Yin, excuse me. I'm very excited about this, and I do find myself smiling every time I say Porch Fest. Since I'm married to someone who's volunteering a lot of time on the planning team, I am getting I hear little drips and drabs of it, and I wondered if you could just say more about how I know your vision for this really is citywide in terms of like all the different parts of the neighborhoods of the city, all the different parts of our, the cultures and music and art cultures that are present in the city. And just wondered if you could say a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so one of the things we're looking at a couple of things. Not only do we hope to get performers who are, comfortable with, with just more like mainstream performers, but we also would like to have engagement from other cultures, and hopefully we'll do some outreach to organizations. Like for example, I mean, we love the Lion Dance troupe. If we have them visit one of the neighborhoods and like do a quick lion dance bomb of a neighborhood, that would be like so unexpected. So now that I've said it in a public forum, maybe not so much. It's like announcing a surprise party to everyone, to the public. But trust me, there are there are plenty of places that we are looking to supplement just the normal call for mainstream musicians.
Great. Councilor McDonald, you all set? Okay. Councilor Crowe?
Thank you. Along, actually, Council McDonald, sort of what I was thinking about. So I know that you want to do it citywide, but is it all going to be one day? Is it, you plan for one day, or there's going to be multiple? So in case like one ward has a lot of representation and one ward has one poor guy that wants to play, like how to sort of match it up so that,
So other Porch Fests that I've looked at, they usually keep it to one day. If you've got a really enthusiastic, and wouldn't it be wonderful if it went this way? But if you've got a really, really enthusiastic town that wants to do this over a number of days, I know that there are some towns that do that. I think for this first go around, it's best to play it a little bit conservative and just try it out and see how things go. Right. And then step back and say, okay, well, what worked and what didn't work, so that the next time it rolls out, there is possibility for expansion and also fine tuning some processes that may or may not have worked, that first go around.
I think that's great. And I'm hoping that there's lots of different artists that come and get involved. So very exciting.
I think there will be. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor Crowe. Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you, Council President. This sounds like a superstar team. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm sure it's going to be a very successful event. Unfortunately, my house doesn't have a porch, but it almost makes me want to build a porch just so I can have a porch for porch. So to be determined, but I do have a big front yard, so you're more than welcome to come on by. I'm going to echo what Councilor McDonald said. I do think it really making sure we include our Asian community and the different ethnicities in our community is going to be really crucial. One, from a performance perspective, but also from a communications perspective. We want to make sure that, I know some Porch Fests have kind of like a route where people go along the way. So just making sure that we inform the residents who are potentially along that route of what's going on, one, so they can participate, but also so they can plan around it. And making sure that communication is translated, I think is going to be crucial. So thank you so much. I'm looking forward to help in any way possible.
Great, thank you. And actually, you do sort of have a porch. It's called Pleasant Street in Malden. That you've got all of those lovely restaurants and venues along that street. We were hoping to have it culminate at one of them. So, again, this is something that we're still fleshing out. So. Anything to help maybe send some traffic down that way for live music would be great, and supporting some of the establishments there.
That's great. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. And from the chair, I think it's a great idea. I don't want to echo my colleagues, but as a big fan of somebody who loves music, my son this year asked for a record player for vinyl, so I was very enthusiastic to see him to follow, hopefully, my footsteps. I cannot, unfortunately, play or sing, but love to participate. And I think, more than ever, just the ability to get outside and walk and meet your neighbors, especially with COVID, is just as important as hearing that music. And, like millions of families in America, I bought what's referred to as a COVID dog. And I met some of my neighbors just by walking my dog. And they've lived there for many years. And unfortunately, sometimes we're just stuck to our computer screens and don't get out and to see our neighbors. So besides the benefit of hearing great music and probably, some food, it's good just to go out there and meet your neighbors. So great idea. And I look forward to seeing it transpire this summer.
Thank you so much, Councillor.
You're welcome. Okay, next order of business.
Paper 3-22, minutes of the meeting of December 21st, 2021.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
On Council Leahan's motion to second, all in favor?
We gotta do a roll call.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, virtual. We got to do a roll call. Clerk will call the roll.
Fallon Hayes,
Yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crowe,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
Valley,
Yes.
Sika,
Okay, yes.
Simonelli,
Yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Betafora.
It's better for a yes. Minutes are approved. Next order of business.
Another set of minutes, paper 7-22, minutes of the meeting of January 3rd, 2022.
Okay, do I have a motion for 7:22? Minutes of January 3rd?
Motion.
On Council Connor's motion to approve, seconded, it looks like by Council Simonelli. Clerk will call the roll.
Fallon Hayes,
Lone Hayes, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crowe,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
Yes.
Sika,
Sika, yes.
Simonelli,
Yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Betafora.
Better for a yes. Motion passes. Minutes are approved for January 3rd, 2022. Next order of business.
Paper 4-22, council reappointment, Kathryn M. Fallon, city solicitor, term to expire March 1st, 2025.
This is being sponsored by Council Simonelli. Council Simonelli, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll tell you, I enjoy this reappointment, and I'll tell you why. The last time I was council president, it was 2007. I think City Solicitor Kate Fallon was one of the last appointments that I had made. And I am proud to reappoint her this evening because I think she's an inspiration for women. I think she's the first woman to take over the city solicitor's office. And thus far, she's done a great job and been very inspirational. And, I'd ask that my colleagues not move to push this to Personnel and Appointments Committee. I'd like to vote this out on the floor, and I'd like it to be unanimous because I think Kate Fallon has done a great job for us here to keep the city out of its trouble with legal matters. And she's always been a good ally to ask questions with. So I would ask that, or I'd make a motion that we vote this on the floor this evening. Thank you, Mr. President. Second.
Thank you, Council Simonelli. Okay, we do have a motion on the floor. We do have a second, but I do like to have, if there's any discussion on the motion. If hearing none and seeing none, we'll go right to roll call. Any discussion? Okay, I see none and hear none. So on Council Simonelli's motion to approve on the floor, seconded by Councilor Condon.
Cologne Hayes,
Yes.
Clerk call the roll.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley, O'Malley, Sika,
Sika, yes.
Simonelli,
Yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Spatafora.
That'll yes. Motion carries.
Thank you.
10-0.
Thank you.
Kathryn M. Fallon is reappointed to term to expire March 1st, 2025. Next order of business.
Paper 587-21, order that the city clerk notify and warn the inhabitants of the city of Malden who are qualified to vote in the special election to vote at the Malden Senior Community Center Auditorium, 7 Washington Street, Malden, Tuesday, 25th of January, 2022, from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the following purpose, which is attached, which is to vote on the bulk building project.
Any discussion? This is for the public, and I think maybe some of the councils, I'm assuming all the councils do know this. This was a presentation that we received from the VOC, the Committee to Build a New Vocational High School, and then Northeast Vocational High School, which is, we are one of the cities that attend that school. They are looking to build a new school, updated, modernized school, beautiful school in Wakefield. There is a cost to that. They did not get enough votes, so they have to, from the cities individually, so they have to go to the public, and this is a byproduct of that vote. So this will happen in all the communities that it serves, and this is going to happen. We don't set this date for the public as well as for the council. This is something that committee sets. So I think Councilor O'Malley did ask, I believe, on a previous call or meeting, which was a good question. Can we change the hours? Which it does seem like they are limited, but they have the ability to do so. We don't have any say in this, the date or the times. So I do see some questions. So Councilor Linehan.
Thank you, Council President. So one of the questions I was getting a lot from residents, especially given the limited hours, is whether there's any other ways to vote. Can people vote early? And the second question to that is, does it have to pass every community, or is it just a simple majority for the project to get approved?
I can answer that, Craig.
Yeah, I know the answer, but go ahead, Clark, because you know the first one. I interrupt this. You can answer the second one.
Okay, so there isn't early voting with this. It's absentee. They can get an absentee ballot. No early voting, and what was the second one? The second thing?
What they need to pass.
Okay, so what happens at the end of the day, the 12 communities, they all send in the total vote, and they combine the votes, and if it gets the votes to pass with the total 12 communities, it passes. And
simple majority.
Simple majority. Okay.
Simple
and to
majority,
do the
yep.
absentee voting, folks can just go to City Hall during business hours. Is that correct?
There's no early voting on this. They would have to absentee.
So it's
ballot
only
on it.
requesting an absentee
Yeah,
ballot.
Yeah, this was really limited, and the problem that we have is that there was we had mail-in ballots, but it expired December 15th. The state legislature didn't extend it like they had been extending it. So there's no mail-in ballots or anything like that, like we've been doing the last year and a half. We're back to the and as far as like the voting, the hours, we're really limited because it's a bulk thing. So
Okay,
we didn't have a lot of
understood.
flexibility with it. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilor McDonald has a question.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. Clerk Lucy, I just wanted to clarify the piece about the absentee voting. So can a resident go to the clerk's office and request an absentee ballot on site at the clerk's office?
They can fill out an application. You have to apply for it. And it's back to the ways, you're either out of the city that day, or it's some type of religious holiday.
Right.
It's very specific because, like I say, all that mail-in ballot things did expire. So we're back to the way that how we used to have to vote prior to this.
And if you qualify for that absentee ballot, can you get it on the spot, or does it have to be mailed to your house?
We'd mail it to them.
Yes,
They can also get the application online. and they can email it to us, scan it and email it to us, so they don't have to physically come to City Hall.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McDonald. Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you. If someone has COVID symptoms, do you want them coming in to vote, or how do you want someone with COVID symptoms voting?
I'd rather they scan an absentee ballot application and send it to us.
So that would be, if you have COVID symptoms, that would be an accepted excuse for absentee ballot in the city of Malden.
Well,
I'm assuming?
The only issue you would have now, if they had COVID symptoms today and the election's 2 weeks from now, it's not really to say that it's a medical excuse that they can't make it.
Yeah, I mean, any residents of Ward 4 in Malden, I'd recommend that if you feel safer during this current surge, requesting an absentee ballot. I think you're more than within your right to request that. And I don't think the city of Malden is going to give you a hard time. Thank you.
Councilor Winslow.
Clerk Lucy, what is the deadline to request an absentee ballot? What's the term?
It's 4 business days before the actual election. So the election would be the 25th and Tuesday, so it would be that prior Wednesday, which would be
The 19th.
19th. Okay, so it's coming up pretty quick. Yeah.
So next,
They can all. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
so I said next Wednesday, Clerk Lucy, just so everybody know, and Monday's a holiday, so. Just a
Yeah,
reminder, the King Day.
and they can also get the ballot on the spot with the absentee ballot application at City Hall. So if they complete an application, they could get the ballot.
So after the 19th, if they come in, they could put in their absentee and get the ballot right away, but then they'd have to.
It'd have to be by the 19th. To get the absentee ballot,
Oh.
it'd have to be by the 19th.
Even if they come in person. So
Correct.
So, okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Councilor O'Malley, is your hand up for the second time? I just don't know if you to take it down. Okay. Any other questions? Again, we know the limit. Council Crowe, I'm sorry. Council Crowe.
So just what I heard Clerk Lucy say, so if tomorrow someone wanted to go in and filled out an absentee ballot, they can get the ballot right then.
Right, so I'm taking this back. So they can get the ballot in person by 12 o'clock the day before on the 24th.
Cool.
Okay.
To request
You
it
gotta
by
change it.
mail would have to be by the 19th.
So by the 19th, but if I come in tomorrow, I could still kind of fill it out right then if I felt like
Yes.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, great. So it is kind of going in there, filling out this, getting a ballot and still voting early for all intents and purposes.
Clerk Lucy, can you just repeat those dates again so we all get it?
So they would have to, if they want to get the ballot by mail, we would have to get the application by the 4th business day, which would be the 19th. They can come in person 12 o'clock on the day before, the Monday, the 24th, to pick up the ballot.
Okay. Everybody understand? Great questions. Unfortunately, I think I don't want to use the phrase, our hands are tied in this. This is really a decision not made by the city. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it's too viable, but certainly this is what we have to deal with in this time.
If I could add just one thing, Mr.
Yep.
President, there was a night, the mayor's office came out with
And FAQs.
Oh, did you? Yeah, that tells about why this election, and I'd be more than happy to send it to all 11 councils just so they have some information with, the exact, it's a letter not to sway people how to vote, but it gives the facts, goes down the list of why this election is taking place.
Yeah, thank you, Clerk Lucy. I did send everybody in the council, received that from Lisa yesterday. Okay? Everybody get that? Okay, so yeah, there was, so Clerk Lucy, the mayor's office did share that with me.
Okay, good.
I would just remind everybody, I know we're running out of time, but if you do get a question that's not on that FAQ list, please let me know or the clerk, and they want to add that and keep that up to date so that the residents have the ability to understand this certainly delicate question and certainly complex question in terms of voting dates, et cetera, and what it means to the community. So, Council Winslow, is your hand up again, or I just take it down? Just don't want to double check. Okay, it's down. Any other questions pertaining to this paper? Just in order. There's really nothing we can do, but great questions. All right. Clerk, next order of business.
Well, we need to pass it.
Oh, we got to vote it? I'm sorry. I thought it was an order. Okay, clerk will call the roll.
I need a motion by somebody.
I can't make a motion. Who is that?
Simo.
Councilor Simonelli has the
Second.
motion to,
Council.
seconded by Councilor Winslow. Clerk will call the roll.
Cologne Hayes,
Yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
Yes.
Sika,
Sika, yes.
Simonelli,
Yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Spatafora.
Got a 4 yes. Motion passes. Next order of business.
Take the 5-22 order that the council approve the city council meeting schedule for 2022.
So I will just be real brief, and I think the clerk is getting the paperwork. I did have a discussion with several of the councils. I did executive decision as president. The Monday in February vacation, the Tuesday, which I believe is the 22nd, that the 21st is a holiday. That is a committee night for the council, and I know there are councils on here who have kids who have school age. I've decided to make that 22nd a holiday. Ideally, it would be great to have April too, but I just worked ideally. Well, that's a committee meeting. It's not a council meeting, and that Monday's a holiday. So the 22nd, we will not have council. And then the only other change, and I would say the standard calendar, is Clerk Lucy can explain in detail. We had a conversation. There is an election year this year, and the state has not set the primary date, and the state does that. So we do have it as a placeholder on our council docket, council calendar. That Tuesday, that date may change because the state hasn't set the primary, but just be cognizant of that, and we will let everybody know when they finally decide on that primary date. We do know the election is on that. I believe it's the 8th, Clerk Lucy?
It's November 8th for the final election, yes.
Yeah, and the primary date, what do we have reflected on?
We have September 13th, but two years ago that the state set the primary date September 1st, which they never had it that early. So we'll know near enough, and then we can always adjust the calendar.
Clerk Lucy, any other discussion about the count? It's pretty straightforward in terms of the Tuesdays, summer break. The only change, like I said, is that meeting in February, as well as the primary and election date going forward. I do see Councilor Winslow has the floor. Councilor Winslow.
So I just had a question. I believe it's the October 4th meeting falls on the start of Yom Kippur. I just don't know what our policy in the past is on that. I don't know. I can't recall my recollection in terms of whether that's something that's come up in the past or not. So maybe we can pass this and just make a note if we need to change that. But yeah, I just don't know what the past practice is of that. So yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, I don't recall that being a holiday for the council, but it is certainly something to think about and certainly we'll take under advisement. Council Linehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. I had just a logistical question while we're meeting remotely. Do you expect that we'll continue to stick to the every other week with the committee nights like we were doing in person? I found that really helpful, and I know there was an issue of maybe needing additional Zoom licenses or something. I'm wondering how we're thinking about that for the foreseeable future.
Yep, very good question. My council, Clerk Lucy and myself had that. Hopefully we will be doing every other week. I think it works good. You have a council meeting and then a committee meeting. It's good to have that time to work with the committees. And we do have, Clerk Lucy and myself talked, we do have access to another license. So we will try to accommodate those needs. Bear with us. There are some technology challenges, certainly, but my hope is that we are past this spike in 3 to 4 weeks. This was not something that I took lightly. I actually prefer being in City Hall. I'm actually here today in the council chamber, in the president's office. I just feel sometimes it's good to get out of the home, but given what the mayor did with having a skeleton crew here and just for the safety, not only of the councilors, but certainly the residents who came here to participate in the meeting, I thought during this peak time, which should be hopefully this week or next week, we might see us self-declining and hopefully get back to the council early February. But we are going to work on those different Zoom links, and we'll be able to facilitate, hopefully with not too many technology challenges, Council Linehan, for the next couple of weeks.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Councilor Hayes.
Thank you. Quick question, since this is new to me. Will we vote on the holiday that you just said on February 22nd, or that's just your, you know, as the president, you make that call? And then do we have a certain amount of like times we have to meet as a body? Just curious how that works.
No, there's no attendance necessarily taken for the minimum. It's usually just getting the work done. I would say it is the president's choice in terms of when we meet by the council. Councilor Hayes, what I do want to do is, I certainly just don't want to rush the judgment. If we want to table the calendar until I find out on Yom Kippur, I don't recall. It doesn't mean that I'm not willing, because I understand it's a very important holiday to the Jewish faith, and be willing to do that. I just want to make sure that I think there's other Jewish holidays too. I want to make sure that I choose the right one, because I think it's Yom Kippur, and then there's two. There's usually two in September, right? Yom Kippur and
Rosh Hashanah.
Rosh Hashanah. So I want to make sure that we're choosing the right one. So if we want, I'd be more than happy to table this one, and then we can finalize the calendar at the next committee council meeting. Not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Do you recall ever not meeting on Yom Kippur? If it was on a Tuesday, which I'm sure it had to be on a Tuesday.
In my 13 years, Craig, I've never seen it be an issue, but that doesn't mean, you know, as the calendar's changed, that it's fallen on a Tuesday.
Yep, that's fair enough, Councilman. Council Condon?
What are you asking?
Do you ever recall a meeting not being scheduled in Yom Kippur? Just because I know you've been around.
No, I don't recall that.
Right. So if the committee doesn't, or the council doesn't mind, Council O'Malley.
Well, I was just going to make a motion to not have a meeting that day, but if you were going to say something different, I don't want to step on your toes.
If that's the will of the council, if that's fine. I don't have a problem. I just want to be very cognizant that there's a lot of holidays for a lot of different, you know, places of worship and people of faith. And I just don't want to make, you know, that to be a priority. We do have to meet to get city business done, but certainly understand that the Jewish faith is very, very deep in the Malden community, and be more than happy to take that vote.
Yeah, I would make that motion. I mean,
Okay.
it is my understanding it's the holiest day in Judaism,
Okay.
so I think that it would be the holiday to reserve that for. And I know when I grew up in Malden Public Schools, we always had Jewish holidays off. I'm assuming that's changed since then, but that would be my motion. Thank you.
I'll
I
second
second
that.
that motion. Okay.
All right, so I believe it was, I don't know who seconded. I see a hand up by Kerry McDonald raise his hand, and I heard Council Linehan, I heard Councilor Winslow. Who wants to take? I'll go with Councilman Kerry McDonald did have his hand up. Was it a question?
No,
Were you making a?
I was going to say something else.
All right, so hold on. Discussion of the motion. Council O'Malley? So I can let Council McDonald speak? Okay, so we have a second. I'm going to say Council Linehan did the second. Kerry McDonald, Council McDonald, excuse me, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. My suggestion was going to be, rather than cancel the meeting, could we move it earlier so that it doesn't conflict with the start of the holiday, right, which is at sundown? So if we moved it to like 5 p.m. and, you know, agreed to keep it to a short docket, we could conceivably hold the meeting without running into the start of Yom Kippur.
So Clerk Lucy, I don't have the calendar in front of me. Is that a committee meeting or a council meeting? I believe council rules dictate when we can start a meeting. So just to refresh my memory on, is that a committee meeting or a council meeting?
I'll tell you in 1 second.
I think it says
Committee
council.
meeting.
October 4th is a
Oh, no, it's a council meeting. Sorry.
council meeting.
Okay, so we have to, we would have to change I think our current council rules do not allow us to, we have to have the meeting at 7 o'clock.
You have to suspend the rules on the council meeting to start it.
Yep. Would you mind tabling this in Council O'Malley? The reason why, I just want to make sure we have Chinese New Year, we have Ramadan, we have a lot of important holidays that might fall on a Tuesday. And I just want to make sure that I look at the calendar in totality before we start just canceling meetings or eliminating the time structure. Is that fair? I just want to make sure that we work in some type of efficient manner to do this. Is that fair?
Would you prefer I table it for 2 weeks?
That's fine. I can look at the calendar. I'll try to look at the holidays that line up on Tuesdays. Certainly understand the need to consider that, but I also just want to make sure that we do not insult another faith or a high holiday for another religion or house of worship. That
So I
might
move to table this paper for 2 weeks.
Okay. So on Council O'Malley's motion to table, seconded by Council Linehan, clerk call the roll.
Cologne Hayes,
Sloan Hayes, yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
O'Malley, yes.
Sika,
Sika, yes.
Simonelli,
Yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Spatafora.
For a yes. Motion's tabled, 2 weeks. I did see that, I apologize, I know I was talking, I did see Council Seeker, I also did see Attorney Fallon. Attorney Fallon, do you want to speak?
Well, I just wanted to let you know, if you do that, or if you do put the meeting earlier, just don't, sometimes you have public hearings and just
Yep.
don't put the public hearing on, because that is what your rule, and I think the ordinance calls for having it. No, your committees are not supposed to commence prior to 5:30, and your council meetings are under your rule to commence at 7. And you don't have an official policy on this, but we could certainly work with the clerk to get you the list of holidays where your schedule might conflict for not just the Jewish religion, but other religions. That if you did want to implement a policy on it.
Fair enough. I appreciate that. Council Seeker?
Good. We can wait till 2 weeks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So that motion carried 2 weeks, and we'll come back. I'll work with the clerk to get a calendar with hopefully all the holidays and get back to you in the vote. Next order of business.
Paper 6-22, council committees for 2022 to be assigned.
Before the clerk reads this, we are going to send out tomorrow. We had a little technical difficulties. I did put it in the file. Clerk Lucy had to retype that file, and we're working to get it in the timely order and viewable way that the committee's used to with the city logo. But I will have the clerk read that to you. There are a couple committees that are no longer standing. They're ad hoc committees. And there's also one that's not an ad hoc. And I'll have the clerk read the committees, and I promise full council will get the email tomorrow with all the committees listed. Clerk Lucy will have that by tomorrow. Sent out?
Yep.
Okay, Council Linehan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was just wondering if we could also add them to the council webpage on the city website. I know a few years back we had them and it hadn't been up there the last couple. I get questions from residents all the time. So I was just wondering if we could do that again.
Absolutely. That was I appreciate you reminding me. And then I do want to know when we get to ordinance. I do have a present for everybody. Whoever's on the ordinance committee this year, there is a meeting this Thursday. Right, Clerk Lucy, this Thursday is the meeting? There's a joint planning and ordinance meeting, correct?
It was Wednesday.
Wednesday. My brain is over. This Wednesday, there was a joint planning and ordinance meeting. So just be cognizant. I'll make sure you guys everybody gets the link. Clerk Lucy, please read the committees.
Finance, Murphy, Chair, Condon, Vice Chair, Cologne Hayes, Sika, Simonelli, Winslow. Rules and Ordinances, Crow, Chair, Linehan, Vice Chair, McDonald, Simonelli, Sika. License, Sika, Chair, Winslow, Vice Chair, Condon, O'Malley, Simonelli. Personnel appointments, Simonelli, Chair, Linehan, Vice Chair, Condon, McDonald, Murphy. Public Properties, Winslow Chair, O'Malley Vice Chair, Simonelli. Cemetery, Murphy Chair, Crow Vice Chair, Simonelli. Sign Design, Murphy Chair, Murphy Spatafora. Waterfront Access, Murphy Chair, Condon Vice Chair, McDonald, Crow. Charter Review, Linehan Chair, Winslow Vice Chair, Cologne Hayes. Parking Review, Condon Chair, Cologne Hayes Vice Chair, Crow, O'Malley, Ron Hogan, and Chief Moles are ex officios. Community Forest Program, O'Malley Chair, Linehan Vice, Winslow, Resident Member Palmieri. Public Safety, Condon Chair, Simonelli Vice Chair, Cologne Hayes. Long-Term Financial Planning and Strategy, Condon Chair, McDonald Vice Chair, Murphy, Ron Hogan, and Chuck Ranigan ex officios. Resiliency and Sustainability Committee, Winslow Chair, McDonald Vice Chair, Murphy. Intercultural Competency and Awareness Committee, Simonelli Chair, McDonald, Maria Louise and Bibios La Rochelle ex officio members, and there'll be 8 residents, 1 per ward. Committee on Technology, Linehan Chair, Cologne Hayes Vice Chair, O'Malley. Age Friendly Committee, Crow Chair, Linehan Vice Chair, Murphy, and Mike Paul is the ex officio member. Library Trustee, Spatafora. Problem Properties, Crow. Energy Efficiency, McDonald. Complete Streets, Simonelli. Site Plan Review, Rose Quarry, Sika and Simonelli. Site Plan Review, RIO, Crow, O'Malley. Site Plan Review, Sika, Spatafora. Master Planning Steering Committee, Sika, Condon. Community Fund, Spatafora, Sika. And we also have Parks and Recreation, O'Malley Chair, Cologne Hayes, Linehan. And we have the Future of Maplewood Square Committee, Winslow Chair, Kerry McDonald, Murphy Vice Chair, City Planner Michelle Romero, Resident Kate Marie Roycroft, and business owner Letianda from Gabrielle Tibriero. The committee.
Council Linehan. You have your hand up.
Sorry, I think I forgot to lower it.
So there's a couple committees that are probably noticeably absent. I'm just pulling up the list. I got to write them down. I apologize. Public Works Committee, I dissolved. I actually talked to Bobby Knox and I looked in the history. That committee hasn't met since 2018. Doesn't mean we cannot bring the Public Works Director here anytime we want. But seeing there was no meetings, I decided to reshift our focus elsewhere. On the Ad Hoc Committee, the Malden Hospital Site Development, that committee has been also disbanded. Again, we can always bring any development forward or any potential investment there forward. Council Linehan and myself talked about it. Again, just wanted to focus our attention elsewhere. Not that it means it's going away, but we didn't meet last year, and I know Council Linehan has her thumb on that piece of property anyways. Also, Traffic Mitigation, I disbanded that committee, not saying we've solved the traffic problem. We do have a new traffic engineer here within the city, and hopefully we can leverage his day-to-day responsibilities. And again, the council can bring that gentleman to the council floor or have any type of action regarding traffic. Citizen engagement. I've already heard some negativity against this. The reason why I disbanded that one, it's certainly not the importance, but again, this council has public comment now, and most of the issues that have gone there also come back to the council. And not that I was saying it's repetitive, but we have the ability to bring residents before the council or any committee at any time. And I've broken that committee, what I feel, into the Cultural Awareness Committee, as well as the Age Friendly Committee to focus on a segment of the population. The Housing Review MAPC Committee, I spoke to Council Linehan on that too as well. We thought it was a good time to shelve that one. And again, the focus is certainly not going away in housing, but we have other avenues to certainly look at that as well. And then finally, The other committees that are staying on, I just want to give a little background, certainly to remind some of the councils who've been here for a while, and certainly the newer council. You'll see committees like the Community Fund, and you'll see the Energy Efficiency Committee and Complete Streets Committee and Public Properties Committee. The reason why those are only 1 or 2 member committees is because our rules state that a council cannot be on a committee without the president's discretion. This came up before in the past. So it's not just that Councilor, Crow is the only one of the Problem Properties Committee. She sits on that committee with a host of other city employees. I know Maria Louise is chair of that. I know we have the fire chief on that. I know Chief Moles on that. But in order for her to serve in that capacity by our rule book, we have to have the president has to assign that counselor to that role. So for the general public, it's not a one-person committee. It's not them acting as king or judge, jury, and executioner. They are just part of other committees similar to the Site Design Review Committee, the RIO committees, energy efficiency, et cetera. So that's the method behind that. I will make sure that all the councils get their assignments tomorrow. I also did put down in my notes, which I'll be sharing with everybody, my intent on what some of these new councils should be focused on in terms of what I thought would be important for some of the outcomes of these councils. I'll give you an example. I think on I read this before when I was last Monday, the Committee on Technology and Policy. This is something Council Linehan's been certainly talked about. I know Councilor O'Malley's talked about this. The purpose of this committee is to develop a clear policy on the use of technology as it relates to the City Council and the City Council committee meetings, including but not limited to the policy that deals with remote participation, committee members in public, remote viewing live, remote viewing on demand, MATV broadcast. I still have MATV and I apologize. Broadcasting of live and previously recorded meeting. And the goal is to have a more cohesive approach to how we utilize all the technology we have at our disposal and the documentation of the same for the benefit of the public. That will be in the committee notes that I send out with everybody. But that really is a policy. I didn't put Anthony Rodriguez on there or Mr. Cochran because I hope the committee can, if they need to bring them in, they have the power to bring them in and do that. So that's what that committee is. I also have one for the Age Friendly Committee. Other communities have started that, as well as the Cultural Awareness Committee. So hopefully everybody enjoys their assignments, and you'll be getting that first thing tomorrow morning. Councilor Winslow has the first question. Councilor Winslow.
Well, committees are part of our rules. So I certainly great you've gone through and assigned people, and then excited to see you consolidated and creating some new committees. But I actually do think we actually have to pass a rule ultimately. So because it is part of our rule book what the committees are. So that's I think that's one of the things we need to do is actually have that language so we can know the jurisdiction of the committees. Certainly willing to support this and then go ahead and make sure we make the rule changes so we can get going on stuff. But that's just something that they are part of. It's Rule 44, so we do have to actually change our rule book to.
Yep, Council Winslow, I am. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I'm certainly aware of the rule there. That's one of the first tasks. With there's a couple other pieces of I would say legislation that's going to the ordinance committee, but the rule book hasn't been updated in 3 years. So I'm hoping that we all can agree to get the rules updated. So that would be my first order to the ordinance committee, that they can focus on updating that rule book to look at new things that works well together. Any other questions? Okay, next order of business.
Docket is clear.
Okay, I will entertain personal privilege. And before I do that, I wait to the very end of this. I waited to the end to say congratulations to Councilor Hayes and Councilor Mcdonald. Your first meeting as elected official. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It is not certainly the same as going into the council chambers, but we'll get there soon enough. So congratulations. And I know Councilor Simonelli While it's his first meeting, it's not certainly his officially first meeting in Councilor Winslow's first meeting as the Ward 6 chair. So congratulations on completing your first meeting. Hopefully it was painless. And I look forward to working with everybody. So I see Councilor, I believe Cologne Hayes raised her hand first, and then I'll go to Councilor Linehan, Councilor Crowe, and Councilor Winslow. Councilor Hayes.
Thank you very much. Yes, I am very happy with the committees, but I actually was raising my hand because I wasn't sure if that's what we were supposed to do for personal privilege, so I might have jumped the gun.
No, yep, it's personal privilege.
This is what it is. Okay, great.
First in line.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm very happy at the first meeting. Very exciting. I did want to bring up that Martin Luther King Day is the 17th, and I did check in. Unfortunately, it looks like that they won't be holding the brunch who usually does that at Spatafor. So I just wanted to let people know that, because I get a lot of people checking in to see if the city does something. So I just wanted to make an announcement that unfortunately, because of COVID, it looks like that won't be held this year, which is really sad. But I did want to acknowledge that. That's it. Thank you.
North Shore Women's Black Association.
Thank you, Councilor Hayes. Councilor Linehan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to join you in just welcoming our incoming electeds. I know Councilor Simonelli has, of course, served before, but it's nevertheless exciting to have 3 new colleagues up here. So welcome. The meetings are definitely not always this short. But I did actually, just on a really serious note, want to let the community know, we did have a pretty serious fire in Ward 3 last night, and I wanted to take an opportunity to publicly thank our police and fire for certainly responding to that very quickly. There were no injuries either among our law enforcement or first responders or residents. We do have a few residents displaced from the building. So where this happened was in the condominiums above the Oak Grove laundromat, right across from the T station and the Oak Grove community building. It's right on the border of Ward 3 and 4. I know a lot of residents were out there watching last night. We had a pretty widespread power outage as a result of having to cut the electrical lines for the fire to be fought. But like I said, luckily while there was significant loss of property, there wasn't any loss of life, which, my heart was in my throat after seeing these tragically fatal fires in Philadelphia and the Bronx this past week. I don't know anybody who wouldn't have seen that on the news last night and not thought the worst. So we're very, very blessed to have had as good an outcome as can probably be expected from a fire of that size. So again, just wanted to really thank all the first responders as well as our DPW. It was a really frigid night, and from what I understand, they were on hand, sanding and preventing the water from freezing. And it really does take all hands on deck when something like that happens. I'm in touch with the fire chief about any help that we can provide to the displaced residents. I know that the Red Cross is assisting, but I would just encourage any of the neighbors who've been asking me how they can help, be in touch with me, and the fire department's going to let me know the best way to get help to those folks. But again, about as good an outcome as we could possibly hope for. And, just a reminder to stay safe. And, these are tough times when the weather is cold like this, when you've got space heaters and all kinds of things, and just, make those good decisions. I know our fire department puts out a lot of good tips on how to stay safe in weather like this, but thanks to the community for reaching out, and to our first responders for helping.
Hey, Councilor, thank you. Councilor Crowe and Councilor Winslow.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Councilor Linehan, it really, when you saw those, it's surprising that there was no injury. So thankful for that. So anything that we could do to help. And I just did want to wish a happy, I don't know if it's happy, but Martin Luther King Day this coming Monday time. And, he was all about service to community, and, involvement makes a difference. So I hope people take that Monday to maybe try to find out how they can, get a little more involved in the community and be supportive. And I did want to request a moment of silence. Kathy Mack, who is our teen, the director of the Teen Center, her mom passed away yesterday morning after a brief illness with a cancer. Her name is Carolyn Cohane, and on Friday will be the wake. It's Spatafor is at 9 to 10:30, and then the funeral mass at Sacred Hearts Church at 11 o'clock. And it's been a long, tough time, and it's a tough time of year. So just a moment of silence on her behalf.
Thank you. Council Winslow.
Yeah, thanks, Karen, for checking in with the North Shore Black Women's Association on Martin Luther King breakfast. Haven't gone to that many years. It's been a great event in Malden, and certainly missed that. It's a wonderful celebration of the Black culture in Malden, and it's a great event that raises money for scholarships for young people and honors some great leaders in the area. So certainly missed that, and certainly Councilor Anderson was always there, so we'll miss him at that as well. Just coming up, Greater Malden Asian American Coalition has their fundraiser on Saturday, January 22nd, so you could go and see. I think they're actually going to feature, you can order and get some wine and some dumplings as part of that, and watch that virtually. So it's a virtual fundraiser. So yeah, just enjoy that. But we'll be missing North Shore Black Women's for Martin Luther King Day. Take care.
Thank you, Councilor Simonelli, then Councilor O'Malley, then Councilor Seeker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to echo those sentiments about the first responders on that fire. I'm glad that everybody's safe and they did a fine job, and all the inspectors that had to go there as well. And I also want to thank the DPW workers for the snowstorm that we had, and where, especially in my district, it's pretty tight down there with the cars on both sides of the street. I got to say, they did a tremendous job with the circumstances of having both cars on the street. So I just want to take my hat off to them. I was out riding around with them a little bit at nighttime, and that's just what you do when you're first elected. After a while, then you don't go out anymore because they do the job well. But I just wanted to say thank you to them, and I want to take my hat off. And finally, I just want to say thank you to Neil Anderson, who is actually leaving the city council after all those years. And it's a funny story about Neil and I, because Neil and I know some of the councilors probably don't even know this, but Neil and I, we had run against each other back in '97. And Neil actually grew up and worked with my father. So we go back a long way down there in Ward 7. And in '97, we ran against each other. And I think we set an example for the city back then, because usually when people, they kind of run against each other, they don't talk to each other no more. And both camps kind of don't want anything to do with the other one, that happens a lot. And that didn't happen with us. We actually became really good friends. And, I talked to him probably on a weekly basis to talk about things in the neighborhood and just things in general, and sit down and have coffee with him, because he's a wealth of knowledge to talk to, just like Councilor Condon. And it's nice to have him on the side. But I don't want you guys to miss him just yet, because I'm going to be pulling him back for something, because the city really could use him in another capacity. And as far as Kathy McMillan's mother, it's the first I'm hearing about that. And Kathy's family lived down in Newland Street with me, and I hung around with Kathy's younger brother, David Cohane. And I remember going over to that house many a times, sometimes not just through the front door, but through the roof and through the window in the roof. And, Mrs. Carol Cohane used to catch me all the time. And my heart goes out to that family. And I actually will be over there and swing by her house to see her. Good family, been in Malden for a long time. And they're very dedicated to the city of Malden. So this is my first meeting, and I just want to say thank you to all the councilors that have greeted me on to after the election to work with them. I've talked to all of you. And I look forward to working with you all. I think we can do a lot of great things here in the city of Malden as we work together. And if any one of you need me for anything, I'm just a phone call away. So I want to just say thank you. And thank you, Mr. President, for the time.
Thank you, Councilor Simonelli. Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you very much, Chair. Just a happy New Year to the residents of Malden. Welcome to the new members. It's great to serve with y'all. I just wanted to update the community. The planning board, as Councilor Spadafora had mentioned, we'll be having a meeting tomorrow. Part of that meeting is a public hearing, and one of those public hearings is related to a warehouse and distribution center up on Broadway. They had previously had a meeting about this or a hearing about this, and they tabled that hearing to continue it because of some of concerns about how it would connect to Route 1. I'm opposed to the project. I know some of my colleagues are in favor. If you want to go down there and understand more about what the impact this will have on our community, you absolutely should attend tomorrow via Zoom. The majority of the building, this warehouse, is located in Melrose. So the vast majority of the taxes are going to go to the Melrose side of the project. Malden will get the trucks, Melrose will get the taxes. If you want to help get tens of thousands of heavy trucking through our community, please come to the planning board tomorrow at 6 p.m. And if you want to attend, the meeting ID on Zoom is 916-0569-8028. And the passcode to get in would be 913644. Thank you.
And Council O'Malley, Council Seeker.
Thank you, Council President. To piggyback off of Councilor O'Malley, the meeting actually is not tomorrow. It's Wednesday, January 12th at 6 p.m. And if you are looking to keep the Town Line Motel.
That's
then
tomorrow,
yes.
Council.
Oh, Jesus, I'm thinking it's Monday still. I'm sorry, it's been a crazy week, but so tomorrow night there is a planning board meeting and it actually is in Ward 8. So I would have appreciated Councilor O'Malley had given me the opportunity to mention that particular meeting. The meeting starts at 6. It is for a wholesale warehouse and distribution center. But as far as I'm concerned, as the Ward 8 councilor, anything that we put at that parcel is better than what is currently sitting at that location, which is the Town Line Motel. Okay, so that is that. If you want to come and be in opposition and speak in opposition, then absolutely get onto the Zoom tomorrow evening. Councilor O'Malley stated the link. I originally had my hand up because I too would like to take a moment of silence for a long time Ward 8 resident. We lost an amazing man yesterday. His name is Vinny Strasha. He sung with North Shore a cappella. I had the pleasure of meeting Vinny about 30 years ago when I started babysitting for his daughter, Renee, when I was just a teenager. His family has become part of my family. Literally at this point, Renee had a child with my cousin. So Vinny's granddaughter is actually one of my little cousins. It's an amazing family. For those of you that don't necessarily may not know his name, but Vinny owned ice cream parlor in Maplewood Square for many, many years back in the day, called Heavenly Licks. He was amazing. His voice was amazing. He was the sweetest, most caring man that you've probably, if you've had the pleasure of meeting Vinny, then you were truly blessed because he really was the nicest gentleman. The whole family, the Strasha family, his son Brian does camps down at Linden Park during the summer for the kids, all sports camps. Donna Lombardi, who is his wife, has coached our youth in cheerleading for decades. She's amazing. The whole family is just wonderful. So I would like to take a moment of silence for Vinny Strasha, who we lost yesterday. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Council Murphy. And then Council McDonald.
Mr. President, mine is just a very brief announcement, and that is I did have a discussion today with both Steve Prince from the DPW and Bob Knox at different times. And we were just talking about all the different C-Clerk fixes that are coming in from the residents about recycling being picked up and it being late. And just for anyone listening and also for the councilors as they're responding to any of the constituents, JRM has basically been devastated with COVID. They are running basically on skeleton crews. Today, they just finished picking up Friday in some places. So this is going to be an ongoing issue for the coming weeks. So, if you could just, if you're speaking to your constituents, please tell them to be patient. Please tell them to leave their recycling out. The Christmas tree pickup has been pushed out a week. The feeling is that it's more important to pick up the trash and then the recycling, and will be the Christmas trees. But it is going, and it does take the DPW an inordinate amount of time to answer all of those C-click fixes. So if we could just really, you know, through all of our networks, get the word out, be patient, you know, your recycling will be picked up. It might be that day, it might be the next day, or it might be 2 or 3 days afterwards. The other thing is the recycling bins with covers have been a godsend during this time where the recycling's been left out for weeks, but some people are putting the recycling bins on top of snowbanks and they are falling over. So if people could just be conscious about where they're placing them so that they don't tip over and just create more refuse in the streets, that would be great. But the biggest thing is just, you know, be patient on recycling. They will get to you eventually, but it is going to take time, and this is going to continue through this week and into next week before it resolves itself. As everything else with COVID, the surge is, you know, having a major impact on our lives. So, thank you.
Thank you, Council Murphy. Great information. Council McDonald.
Thank you, Council President. And I also just wanted to say how excited I am to work with you all on the City Council. I have reached out to each of you to set up a time to just get to know each other and grab coffee or take a walk. And so I've met with some of you and I'll follow up with others, but because I really do believe in the importance of building those one-on-one relationships. And I appreciate your point, Council President, at the beginning that, you know, we need to have strong enough relationships that if and when inevitably there are disagreements and concerns arise that are more than just policy between us, that we do take those to the person respectfully, face to face. And so I appreciate you surfacing that, and, you know, creating an equitable culture always involves surfacing those things and saying them out loud that sometimes are, you know, we only say in private. So being able to be direct about that is really important, and I appreciate that. And just to, you know, to say my fervent prayer is also that we will make it through this peak surge very quickly. If anything, we know the current COVID Omicron numbers are underreported due to how many home tests there are. And I know our city employees, thank you to everyone who's working overtime to try to get test results. Thank you, especially to the teachers and the frontline workers, nurses, hospital employees, doctors, who are just stretched to the breaking point, and to just urge all of our residents to follow Malden's masking guidelines. I appreciate we can have this meeting online, and to just, you know, hunker down and try to do your part to help control the spread, to keep our public health and medical systems from just crushing under the weight of this caseload. Not everyone is able to be vaccinated. I strongly endorse vaccination, and I'm also the parent of a child under 5. Who's not eligible. So just, there are still vulnerable folks among us. And I appreciate everyone's collective effort in our community to help keep as many people as possible safe. To your point, Councilor Murphy, the pandemic is having so many impacts. So thank you all. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you more.
So Council McDonald, is there somebody celebrating a birthday in your family you might want to give a shout out to?
You know, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Councilor Spadafora. My son Julian will be turning 7 tomorrow, and he is not quite having the party that he hoped for, but we do have a lot of special things planned. I can fully assure him, despite his questioning every single day. I'll have to learn more about that joint planning and ordinance meeting, Councilor Spadafora.
And if I can, from the chair, so happy birthday. But from the chair, thank you for a great meeting. Committee assignments will go tomorrow, and I do want to just ask for one more moment of silence. I will start it, but I would ask respectfully if Council Connor would step in. The city of Malden, and certainly the neighborhood of Edgeworth lost a pillar of the community, Richie Cremoni. Richie was born in Adams Street. Certainly is known in that community, both in terms of worked at Brendanos for many years, started his own restaurant called Cremoni's, and then worked for the Middlesex Sheriff Committee. Cremoni was a colorful man and a great guy, and an awful golfer, but keep up with the best of you and trash talking, and certainly a fixture in the Edgeworth community. He's also Councilor Condon's first cousin. And it was certainly a loss for the community, and certainly for the Italian-American Club, which you were a member for many years. So, Councilor Condon, any words before we ask for a moment of silence?
Thank you, Craig. I was hoping somebody else would start it. It's very difficult for me. I'm still recovering because when you grow up in a two-family home with your mother and her sister and their children, you're more like brothers and cousins. We had 4 boys within 15 months in our house. So we're very, very close, and it's been very difficult. But if I can say one thing about my cousin, he was just an unbelievable grandfather. And he could talk with the best of them, but you still end up smiling, and I'm sorely going to miss him. So I thank you for that kind words. Thank you.
So a moment of silence for Mr. Richie Cremoni. Thank you. On Councilor Murphy's motion to adjourn, seconded by Councilor
Condon.
Clerk will call the roll.
Cologne Hayes,
Yes.
Condon,
Condon, yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Linehan,
Linehan, yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Murphy,
Murphy, yes.
O'Malley,
Yes.
Sika,
Sika, yes.
Simonelli,
Yes.
Winslow,
Winslow, yes.
Betafora.
Betafora, yes. Committee is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Be safe. See everybody later. Thank
Night,
you.
everyone.
Good night.
Mr. President,
Yes,
can you swing by Gale Street?
yes, I'm on my way. Bye.